Hi, good morning. It is Sunday the 12th, Easter Sunday, so happy Easter. And here we are in the middle of lockdown, and it's Easter, so time when people are used to being out and about with families and doing all those amazing things that they do on Easter, time away, visiting, Sunday lunches, etc. All of those things are a little bit different today, but hopefully with this amazing weather we've had, that people are spending as much time as possible in the garden, if you have a garden, or finding some way to keep cool inside and just enjoying the weekend. Funny time I get a throat when I'm on these videos. That's really interesting. Okay, so where have we been? I last checked in on Thursday night after 3 days. That was going through the day 16, etc. So that was Thursday was 17, Friday was 18 today, Saturday was 19, today's 20. So I'm just, it's Sunday morning, so I'm really doing day 18 and 19 review, catch up, check in. And a couple of things have happened that have been really interesting to note. And I think the first one was on Friday morning. We held a coffee morning, and I say we, Joe Thackeray and myself. Joe is another coach who lives pretty local to me and hosts a morning show on a local radio station, and a good friend of mine, and she's a great lass. We held a coffee morning, just trying to check in and connect with people and see how they're doing, and just how they're experiencing things, but particularly with people who are not used to technology and all these new things. It's all very well saying, yes, we have all these tools and we can do it, but for the older generation, particularly stressful. They don't like all these things. Anyway, we sort of aimed to try and dispel that feeling, and it was interesting because my parents joined, and I had asked them to connect with other people, and they had put it out, and somebody actually phoned while we were on the call, on our coffee morning call, and a friend of my folks, and my mum had said, oh yeah, that's this is what we're doing, why don't you join us? And she went, oh no, I'm not into those things, nope, can't be doing that. And that's exactly it, is that there are so many people who are really scared of the video conferencing side, and it's not that bad. But I mean, lots of us hate being on video, and I know I'm doing video blogs, but to be honest, it's quicker and easier for me to write, and also I don't go back and edit it. It's just I'm not really thinking too far ahead. I'm just doing what I'm thinking at the moment and just capturing where I am. Whereas the minute I start writing, I tend to edit. I'll tend to write something down, then I'll read through it, and then I'll change things, and I'll make sure the tone's right. And I didn't want that. I wanted this to be literally straight from my heart and straight from where my head is at the moment and what I am thinking and feeling and doing and seeing, experiencing, etc. And so people are scared of being on video. Lots of people are scared of being on video. But the older folk in particular are really scared of the technology. A lot of them are used to Skype if they live in different countries to their other members of their family, and they're used to doing FaceTime and WhatsApp video, etc. But now we bring in Zoom, and we can have more than one-on-one conversations, and they're scared. We had hoped that we could try and dispel some of that. Was it successful? Yeah, I'm not so sure, to be honest. It was great. It was a great connection, but we didn't reach as many people as we'd hoped to, and from that point of view it wasn't great. But the things that we did come out of it, my parents, yes, they live with me, but we're doing the social isolation, so we're keeping our distance, but we are obviously seeing each other. Social isolation, social distancing. They are social isolating. They're staying inside, and I'm keeping social distancing with them on the property. So they had done, as I said before, their first Zoom call with the family last week Saturday, and they joined this call, and it was good for them to be with other people, and it was now not so new. They were a lot more comfortable. It was more familiar. So they were on the call, which was great, and then It was Joe and myself, and then my wonderful friend Barbara, who has been an absolute star. She lives alone, but she's such a social creature, and so she's been my guest blogger. And there's the guest blogs. I'm going to start releasing them today. She's been doing some fantastic blogs, really good insights into various things. So she was on the call, and one of my school friends, who I haven't seen physically for quite a long time, Lee, also joined us, and that was just lovely. So it was just the 6 of us, or 7 of us, six video screens, 7 of us on the call, and it was nice to see. A couple of things came out of that. One, Barbara was reflecting on her procrastination list, which I thought was brilliant. So it's not a to-do list. She's got a list of things that she's been procrastinating about over the years, and now thinks that maybe she's got time to look at these things and address them. And they're things like going through all the old photographs that she's got, she's got a bag of goodies from her travels, and going through that bag, sorting them through. And that was quite interesting, because she had opened a bag of memories, and they were relating to, there were a number of letters and things relating to when her father died, back in, I think she said 2005. I think that's what she said. I haven't got my notes in front of me. Never mind. Sometime. Her father died a while back, and she found a number of handwritten letters, handwritten notes to her, and they were really, really special, because people had taken the time, but also they were very, very direct and full of thoughts and insights about her father and for her, and things that people had seen and memories that they were recalling. So it was a really special thing, and we talked then quite a bit actually on the call about death, because this is something that is right in our faces now. There are lots of people dying, and it's all in the news, and there are lots of families being affected. Obviously the healthcare staff are affected, because they're seeing way more deaths than they would normally see, and there were so many things came up about death. And we're going to, I think Barbara and I are actually going to do a series on this, on how to prepare for death, both ourselves and for our families. As Barbara was saying, things like she's got thousands of photographs on her laptop, and if something happened to her, she lives on her own, all of those would be lost, and many of them are of her family, her nieces and nephews, her brothers and sisters, and her family generally, and they would all be lost, and those people would never get them. So there's lots of things to think about. Not just the normal will and living will and estate planning and all those things, but there's who's going to sort out all your stuff, who's going to be able to access your beautiful memories that you've captured on photographs. So there were a load of things being talked about there. It was the emotions, and taking time to write letters, and memories around the people that have been involved, and preparation, but then also the not being able to celebrate. So Barbara's Irish, and obviously the Irish have a big celebration when somebody dies. The parties are phenomenal. They go on for days. There's loads of food and drink and things that happen, and it's a very special time to remember the person, but also to be with the family. And these are all things that we need to think about. So just following on that theme, it might seem like a morbid theme on Easter Sunday, but maybe the timing's perfect. I read something about in London, the Muslim burial ground. Muslims, and I didn't realise this, I didn't know much about this, don't cremate ever. Everybody's buried, but they also don't bury in coffins. They bury in cotton shrouds, and it's all very personal. And obviously there's a normally a very quick turnaround from death to burial, to aid the spirit moving on its journey, the ascension. And what they're doing now is digging large graves, but not doing mass burials. The Muslims are putting wooden what do you call them, barriers for not to have another word, between, so that they're able to dig a bigger hole and bury a number of people in the same hole, much closer together, but they're having wooden partitions, that's the word, wooden partitions between the body, so that there is that privacy and that space. And it goes back to this, how can we innovate and how can we do things differently? And I love the creativity that comes out of situations like this. So that was really interesting to see. And then this morning I was watching a video that Russell Brand had put out on Instagram. His cat had died, and that was really sad. His cat Morrissey, but also his observations and going back through the connection between him and Morrissey, and the beautiful passing of Morrissey, and then the funeral that they held as a family, and in their garden where they buried him, and a whole range of things. So there's been an awful lot in the last few days around death. I guess it's Easter time, so that's probably about good timing. So that was really it was interesting. And then on the flip side is, how are we interacting with the living, and how are we connecting with people, and how are we able to be present and show love and show caring, and just be with those that we need to be with. We can't be with them physically, but how can we be with them online and emotionally, etc. And even if it's just a phone call, I say even if it's just a phone call, we really ought to be connecting with at least one other person every single day, I believe, so that we're keeping those connections up. As much as I'm enjoying the quiet time, and some people will need complete quiet time, we do need to also reach out to other people. And the thing that came up for Lee, and this will be relevant to a number of people, her mother's in a care home. Now, we grew up as children from primary school. She lived I think in the next close, so there was the main road, Widdicombe Road, and we lived on the one close, and I think she lived on the next close, if not the very next one, the one after, so sort of the short road that went off there. So we've kind of been together, and the families have known each other for a long time, so it was quite nice for everybody to get together again. But her mum is in a care home, and a beautiful care home, and well looked after, and not far from where Lee lives. And she was feeling really worried and frightened, actually, and rightly so. It's a very scary time. But they had been notified that there's been a case of coronavirus in the care home, and that puts everything just into a whole different ball game. And so I asked the question of, well, are you speaking to Mum? Yes, she speaks to Mum every day. And I said, what about video conferencing? Have you done a video call? Oh no, her mum couldn't do that, wouldn't be able to cope with that. I'm like, no, look differently, look at ways of doing things. Care homes now are pretty geared up to enabling and supporting, facilitating video conferencing. If not on the individual's own devices, they're setting up ways of supporting video conferencing, and suggested to Lee that she gets hold of them and makes contact and seeing if that could be arranged. She's really worried, and this will be affecting a lot of people. She's really worried that she might not see her mum again, and that's really tough. That is a really tough reality, thought and reality that might actually happen. Hopefully it doesn't, and hopefully everybody keeps safe there. And then the other suggestion that as a group we came up with was, why doesn't she try and see her mum? She obviously can't go into the care home, but she could stand outside and people are talking through the windows, and it's a 10-mile drive away, and you know, we're not supposed to be travelling and all these good things. And if we're taking food packages in and we're doing things like that, we are travelling. And this is more than just a care package or a food package or a Easter package. This is a love package for both of them. And I think, you know, if she did it at least once and wasn't allowed to do it again, at least she's done it once. But to be able to go to the care home and drop off something for her mum would be really special. And then be able to talk through the window. And she was saying that her mum's on the first floor. And that's almost better, because you can have the window open and you can actually be talking and hearing and seeing each other, versus on a ground floor window where often they're keeping the windows shut so that there's no danger. Anyway, there's ways around. I think where I'm going to here is there are ways around, and we need to look at different ways of doing things, but at the same time keeping safe and being sensible and absolutely keeping the distance and not travelling and putting people at risk. And I don't consider, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't consider that travelling to the care home to just connect with her mum, even if it's only once a week, maybe twice a week, I don't know, is unreasonable. So that was that. And then in the afternoon, I need some water, hold on a bit. In the afternoon on Friday, so this was Easter Friday, I spent the whole day working, as you do. I couldn't believe how full my diary was. There were an awful lot of things in it, but never mind, it was a good day. So Easter Friday I had a conference call on leadership. Actually, it was a talking space to talk about leadership with a group of, I don't say leadership coaches, but people that influencers, let's say, in the leadership sphere. So moving on to a completely different aspect now. And leadership, we had started these conversations much earlier this year, and we have been talking about how the current control and command and control leadership really isn't appropriate in many instances. There are times when it is needed, but in many instances it is not appropriate. People are adults, and we need adult-to-adult conversations, and we need to really be engaging and respecting and valuing people as people. For years I've said that when somebody clocks into the workplace, as they tap their badge on the clock in and walk through the gate, they leave their brains outside. And that's because they walk into somewhere and they now have to be this person in this role doing this job, and they're not allowed to have an opinion, they're not allowed to think outside things. They just largely funneled into, this is the ethos and culture of the organisation, and this is the way to be doing things. And I find this crazy. I find it soul destroying. I find it inhumane. I find it, just from a business perspective, bloody stupid. There's no other way of saying it. Sorry for the language. But people have so much to offer, and if we enable them to think and be creative and bring their best self to work, obviously with the context of within a team, we're all aiming towards the ultimate objective, common objective. We are going to be in such a better, stronger position than if we just make everybody behave the same as the management say we should behave. Anyway, it was a 2-hour call with some fantastic people, and I think there were 9 of us on the call. Wonderful people. One lass from France, and the rest of us in the UK. Some of us had met previously. On the 9th of March, there was an event up in Malham that some of us went to, and this was the 6th online session that they'd had, and the first one I was able to go to because I my diary's been quite full. But it was wonderful, and it was really inspiring and thought-provoking and good to see. And one of the people on the call works in the civil service, and so that was quite interesting too, to get perspective of what they're going through and what they're thinking about, and how they are really, really striving to look at doing things differently and make things better and provide environments for growth. I think growth is the thing that they were looking at. But it was wonderful. It was a really good call. And I think after that, in fact, I had pretty much back to back. I had run out for a dog walk, but I hadn't had time to eat. After that, I stopped for food. Yeah, that was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, as you do. And I pretty much didn't do a huge amount on Friday night, so I took some downtime, intending to get my course that I talked about sort of up and ready. Well, I was too tired on Friday, didn't feel like it, didn't do it. And I kind of woke up on Saturday thinking, no, I went to bed on Friday going, I'm going to do the course on Saturday, put it all together, and then take Sunday and Monday off. Woke up on Saturday and went, I don't feel like it. And then all the guilt came around of, there are people that need this, there are people that want it, my business needs me to get moving and put things out so that I can generate some income and just support more people and do all those good things. And I didn't turn my laptop on for work at all yesterday. I did turn it on in the afternoon for just a group social session. We have there's a local lass, Ilona, who's amazing at organising coffee mornings, and it's quite a treat to go to these. And this yesterday should have been our Easter party. Another wonderful lass had offered her home, and we were all going to get together. Anyway, it didn't happen, obviously. And I said, why don't we just connect online? And this was the group that I had connected previously. And Ilona, who had never done Zoom before the previous session, found that it wasn't so difficult and has set up a Zoom account, a free Zoom account. And I'm not advertising Zoom, I've been using it for years and it works brilliantly. Set up a free Zoom account and was now connecting with her family, which was fabulous to hear. So we had our get-together, our Easter get-together, and everyone had their tea or wine or champagne and nibbles and things. And that was yesterday afternoon, and it was really lovely. It was just, and again, there was another lady, Jennifer, who hadn't done Zoom before, and it was getting her set up so she could do it. Took a bit of time, but it was also good to see that it can be done, and it was good. So that was the only time I was on the laptop yesterday, and then after that I turned it off. And I spent the day mostly in the garden, and I did a dog walk, etc. Had to pop down to the shops to get a newspaper. But if I go through what was going through my mind, I felt guilty. I felt absolutely guilty, and that was frustrating because I had planned to do work on that day, on Saturday, and then didn't, and there was a huge amount of guilt going on about I should be doing this and I need to be doing this and people need this and I need this and all these things that needed to be done, and I didn't. I did the things that I've been wanting to do for absolutely ages. I spent some time in the garden, cleaned the greenhouse. My dad took the glass out and I washed all the glass down and cleaned out the greenhouse, and then he put the glass and things back in, and it looks amazing. It's all ready for all the seeds that I want to plant this weekend. So that's what I'm planning to do today, is plant some seeds and get moving. So I think we're getting close to, I garden by the moon cycles, and this will sound foreign to a lot of people, but when the moon is rising, waxing and waning, it has a pull on the earth, and when it's rising, obviously there's gravitational pull, so there's a pull on the water, and the plants and things, there's a time to be planting and pruning and then watering and fertilizing. So when there's a pull on the water, it's when you water and fertilize, and the plants are able to take it up better, is the theory. And when the moon is waning, I think it's waxing. Is it waxing and waning? Let me think about this. There's waxing and waning, and then there's a rising and dipping in the sky. Whatever. There's a cycle of things that happen with the moon. Obviously, when the moon pressure is going down, it's the time to prune, because there's not that much liquid in the stems, and to plant, because it's when everything's, you know, into the ground and nurturing and getting ready to burst forth in the next cycle. And that happens it goes on the 28-day cycle. So you've got all this, everything's for flow and everything's moving and all those. Anyway, so I wanted to get the greenhouse ready and get things in. And, you know, just spend time in the garden. It's just so nice. And so we did that yesterday, and I also put some water in the pond because it was a bit low, and my tadpoles have hatched, so that's really nice. I've had loads of frog spawn, and now there's all these little tadpoles. So I filled the pond up and took out there's a whole heap of gunk in there. I had wanted to clean it out, hadn't done it, and now we've got tadpoles, so I can't do it. But anyway, took out some, I'm going to call it weed, oxygen plant things that had died and just needed to come out. It was all junk. Anyway, sorted that out and just potted around a little bit. Did a dog walk. Wasn't that excited about my dog walk. It was a couple of really good things. I saw my nephew. He was running. He's got a little circuit that he's running, apparently, which comes past our house. He hasn't stopped in. I've never seen him past our house before, but anyway, bumped into him when I was out, which was very nice. Had a little chat at a good distance, and you know, took loads of photos, do my normal thing, and the walk generally was fine. There were quite a lot of people out, so everyone was keeping their distance and moving off the paths and doing those things. And I say everyone, most people. There were some people that were a bit annoying. And then I walked up onto the playing fields, and it was quite busy, but still able to keep distance, and it was okay. It wasn't too bad. It was, you know, it's nice to see people out and about in small groups. And then there was a group of 7, and that I was interested how it stressed me. They were arguably a family. Maybe they were all big. I don't know, it was difficult to tell. So that was the one thing that kind of got my back up a bit. And it really, when you're used to seeing people on their own, or you know, sort of in small family groups, or you know, with small kids or whatever, then you react differently to when you see a group of 7 people without a dog, obviously out for a walk. Good that they're out for a walk. Should they all have been together? Were they all in one family? No, questions I don't know the answers to, and to be honest, not my problem, and I shouldn't really know, but it annoyed me a little. I was interested at my reaction. I was very reactive yesterday. And the next thing that I reacted to was the amount of dog poo. I was really frustrated about that. There's been people that aren't obviously local and walking up onto the fields where I was, who've been driving there, because if you're local and you're walking up there, your dogs generally, before you get there, unless you're very, very local, have already done a poo or 2, and then you can use the bins and get rid of them and stuff. There are some people that are still driving up there to walk their dogs, and that's naughty. It's annoying. It's frustrating. And what happens then is the dog gets out the car, gets onto the field, and then poos. And these are the people that just don't care. On so many fronts, they don't care. And I'm being judgmental, and I dislike that, so I need to observe where that is and stop that. But what I did was I picked up 2 bags of dog poo that wasn't mine. And I do this when I see dog poo around. I just pick it up because the people that have left it, whose dogs did it, aren't going to pick it up, and someone's just going to, it's just making the place look untidy, and it encourages people to leave more, which I don't enjoy. So I did my bit and picked up some dog poo. And then walking back, I was aware that somebody has, I do a litter pick every year on a piece of ground between here and what we call the play park, up towards the fields, and someone's done it already this year. It's clean, and all the bags that there's one person that seems to throw poo bags in one corner, which really is just, and again, judgmental, but really just not good, solid community behaviour. Anyway, somebody's done that, and it was just nice to see that someone's done it, and I hope they kept safe, because one thing you don't want to be doing at the moment is picking up other people's germs from their rubbish. Anyway, so that was my walk, and it was okay. There were a few things in it that annoyed me, but I wasn't too bad about it. And then had the call, had lunch, yeah, did all those things. Then I had to go down to the shop to get the papers. So I've done my shopping this week, didn't want to do any more shopping, but Saturdays are paper days for my parents, so I needed to go and get the papers. And went down to the local co-op, walked down to the local co-op without the dog. She was like, "Where are you going without me?" And went into the co-op. It wasn't as busy, and people were marginally better at keeping distancing than I've seen in there before. They got my papers. Got one paper, and the paper that I wanted with the TV guide in that my mum likes had sold out, and I was like, damn, I was a bit late. I was a bit annoyed with myself again. It was a day of being annoyed, frustrated, judgmental yesterday. Annoyed with myself again that I hadn't gone out earlier, that I'd selfishly spent time in the garden and done other things, and I was really, beating myself up day, beating everyone else up around me day. And while I was there, I was asked to get some bread, so I went round. They didn't have the bread that I was asked to get, and I kind of looked at the breads and thought, I don't know what to buy here, so didn't buy. Bought them some hot cross buns. Got out the store pretty quickly, without too many incidents or hassles. And then I thought, I wonder if the garage, which is just down the road, not very far away, would have a paper, because my mum, without her paper, is not a good thing. And to be honest, she needs every little bit that she can have, because she's having to stay in. And she's relying on me to do these things, and if I'm not pulling my weight and doing what's expected, it's not good. So I wandered off down to the garage at a brisk walk. In fact, I was motoring, really sprinting, walking fast down. And that means going past the Hydro, which is the local council swimming pool and gym, and which is obviously closed. So it was walking through the grounds there, and then noticed that there were 5 young lads playing basketball on the open air basketball court. And I was just disappointed again. I was judgmental again about that. It's just, what are they doing? There was one car and one bicycle that I could see, so there were at least 2 groups there, but probably more. In fact, I'm pretty certain more. And that was annoying. And then there were 2 guys that were walking towards me. They had a distance between them, but they were obviously, I say obviously together. They were the same sort of look about them, and it wasn't a good feel. Let's put it that way. On the call earlier in the afternoon, one of the lasses, on the afternoon call that I'd been on, was saying that she's not actually enjoying going out. She lives near the Valley Gardens, and people are not keeping their distance. Guys in particular are looking like they want to engage and coming closer than the distance, and she's feeling a bit threatened. The one guy almost walked her into a hedge in trying to avoid him. I was going, okay, well, turn around, walk on the roadside, because the roads are quiet. Walk in the middle of the road if you can. But then I experienced this as well with these guys, the way they look at you. Normally when I'm out walking, I've got the dog, and Annette doesn't have a dog, so she's walking on her own. And so that was interesting. So when I've got the dog, I don't actually, probably don't notice people's faces. We always look at other dogs, and yeah, I do sort of greet people, but I don't notice them. Now I was on my own, I noticed, and it wasn't good. It wasn't a good noticing experience. Anyway, went up to the garage and went in, and the paper was there. Brilliant. Got my paper. Went to the checkout. There weren't a lot of people sort of on that space there. Talked to the lady. She took the co-op card to scan it, but I hadn't seen her wipe her, sanitize her hands. She had gloves on, but I hadn't seen her sanitize her hands. So I just said to her, assume you recently sanitized your hands now that you've touched my card. And she kind of looked at me like, I'm sick of tired of doing this. Of course I have. And I went, yeah, I'm just asking, because otherwise I'm going to sanitize my hands and my card before I do anything with it. Anyway, it was, I feel sorry for the shop workers. She was behind a screen, which was good now, because they hadn't. The co-op was way behind screens. Anyway, got my paper, got out of there, and at that point there just seemed to be a flood of people arrived at the garage. The parking on the side, which are non-fuel parkings, were full. There were 5 cars there, and there was a bicycle, and nobody was keeping their distance as they were walking in and out and moving around. There were, at that point, then 3 or 4 cars at the pumps, and it was like, oh. And then I thought, yeah, should I see if they've got bread? So I went back in and realised just how full it was inside. It's a tiny, garage shops are small. Went back inside, saw what bread they had, went outside, phoned my mum, asked her what bread they wanted, because what they'd asked for wasn't available. Had got the instruction, and then by now the shop was so full I wasn't going back in it. There was just absolutely no way I was going back in there. So I thought I'll go back to the other co-op and see if they've got that bread that I was asked for. And while I was there, I was sat close to another garage. This was 2 pretty close across the road from each other. I thought, go and have a look in that one. So I went down to the Shell garage, and they've got a select store, which is tiny, to be fair, just really tiny. So I went in, and I put fuel in the other couple of days ago, and I had a nice conversation with the young lad, and the same guy there. And because I was in a mood by now, I didn't engage with him properly, and I was a bit annoyed with myself when I walked out of there. He only had one type. He had bread, but it was only one type of bread, and I didn't want that bread, and I wasn't going to pay that price for what bread it was. But I didn't ask him how he was, and I would normally do that. And what was going on with me yesterday? Anyway, kind of, yeah, what are you doing? So came out of the garage, and then looked at it and thought, well, I'm now almost at Aldi, which is the shop that I normally do my grocery shopping at. Should I just go there? Or should I go back to the co-op? And, I'm now that far away from home. When I say that far away, I'm probably a mile away. I'm not that far. Or should I go on to Aldi? So I decided to go on to Aldi. And I thought, yeah, I can go to Pets at Home and I've got 5 days left of cat food. So I thought I'll go and get the cat food while I'm there. Bearing in mind I'm walking and I'm carrying a bag over my shoulder for stuff, so I don't want a lot of weight. Go to the Pets at Home, get the stuff I needed, go up to Aldi, and the queue was short. 5 people, no problem at all. Took a basket just in case. No, took a trolley, a small trolley, just in case, because if the things are reduced, then maybe you'll buy stuff, as you do. So went in, looked at the breads. All the breads the normal ones I expected to see were there. Wasn't sure what to buy. I'm like, picked up what I thought was the closest. Hopefully it was okay. Picked up some chocolate for my parents, because I didn't buy chocolate last time. I felt guilty. I haven't bought any Easter eggs. It was like, anyway, we didn't. Went up to the fruit and veg to see if anything was reduced up there and what was there. Picked up a few things. I ended up having 4 things in my trolley. Went down to the checkout, and what they've done now is the aisles are fairly wide, but they've also created cross gaps in the aisles, which you didn't have before. You just had sort of halfway in the store you had a cross gap, so that you can get in, you can get out the way really. So I stood behind a guy and I had chosen the checkout that was by the Easter eggs, which meant people were stopping there. So put my trolley, we've got markers on the floor, put my trolley on the marker, step back into the gap so people could look at the eggs and do what they needed to do. There weren't a lot of people, but there were people. Sort of when the one person walked past, step back out, and a lady had pushed in between us. And I kind of went, excuse me, but I'm in the queue here. And she went, there was nobody here. And I'm like, I'm behind that guy. I've just been standing here. And she had her child in the trolley, but also, I say child in the trolley, he shouldn't have been in the trolley either. This is judgment again. I don't know, 3 or 4, 5. He shouldn't have been in a trolley. And the trolley was packed up. And she kind of went, well, I'm here now. She just like, and I went, I've got 4 items. And I was in the queue and I'm standing out the way. And she kind of went, and I was cross. I don't get cross. Okay, so I really pretty calm and level. I hadn't done my yoga in the morning, maybe that was part of it. But I had been in the garden. Yeah, so I sort of stood behind her, muttering and under my breath quite a lot. Anyway, they then decided to open another till. And it called me across to that one. And I kind of went, but they hadn't got a cashier on the checkout. And it was like, so then I unpacked my 4 items and wait. And wait and wait and wait. And ordinarily I don't mind. But then while I'm standing waiting, this lady on the other side is going, was a till next door, is moving through. And the guy behind her has got his trolley load, and somebody came up with just some eggs in their hands. And they said, oh yeah, no, go in front. And I do this all the time. Whenever I've got a full trolley and somebody's got just a couple of things, I always let them through and go. So here I was on the other side of it. And it was really to do with what was my energy like yesterday. Anyway, I got out the store, walked home when it was heavy now. My bag was heavy at this point. Walked up the hill, because Aldi's at the bottom of the hill, literally by the river, and I'm at the top of the hill. Walked up the hill, it was hot. Sort of delivered all the goods I'd bought. Went back out in the garden, finished doing what I was doing, went and had a look, and it had other things that I wanted to potter around with. And then decided that was it. I was going to have dinner. I think I was hungry. Hadn't eaten that much yesterday, really. It had been hot, and I'd been out a lot, and I started the day in a funny mood. So I had an early dinner and decided to watch a movie, because the night before there'd been 2 movies that were showing that I hadn't watched but I'd recorded. Ab Fab and the Stephen Hawking one. So I sat down and watched Ab Fab. Light-hearted silliness, really, but it was fine. It was great. And then I had a chat with Barbara and sort of relaying some of the things, and she was going, look at the judgment, what's it reflecting on you? And I'm like, yeah, what is it? I really had an interesting day yesterday. And I then decided not to do the video last night because I was absolutely just chilling out and didn't feel like it. So I thought I'd do it today. So here we are, Sunday morning, and I've now just taken nearly 45 minutes out of my morning to capture my thoughts of the last 2 days, which I don't mind doing at all. I absolutely love doing, but I haven't had breakfast yet and I'm pretty hungry. And it's really quite interesting, the nonsense that came up yesterday, but at least I'm able to observe it and go, yep, I don't want to do another day like that. I'd planned to do an early walk today. It ain't going to be an early walk, and there's the dog hearing the word walk and going, yep, are we going somewhere? But I will be out in the garden, I will be doing things. And when I feel like it, in the right mood and space and energy, after I've done my yoga, I will do the course and put all the other things available on my website that I have. I've got so many things to share and give out to people that I haven't done. So I need to stop beating myself up and just live in the moment, take a deep breath, and be calm. And it goes back to that deep breath, and I'm going to end this session with that, where First off, stretch and yawn, which I do a lot with my clients. Just feel the air in your body. Relax your jaw when you yawn. We really need to do that to release. And then take a deep breath in and pause at the top of the breath. Just hold your breath at the top and then breathe out slowly. And pause at the bottom of the breath. And then breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and pause at the top of the breath. 2, 3, 4, 5, and breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5, and pause at the bottom of the breath. 2, 3, 4, 5, and repeat. Oh, well, it's just popped up on my screen that Sterling Moss dies at the age of 90. So Sterling Moss, rest in peace. Right, so breathe, calm, slow down a bit, observe. Just take time for you. It's Easter. Look after yourself, enjoy, and yeah, just do things that are nurturing. Connect with people and connect with yourself. Give yourself time and space. Have a wonderful Easter and go safely. Stay home. Keep safe. That's all for today.